author, as Susan so kindly said. Thank you for supporting Peregrine Book Company. I love all our little independent bookstores around the state, and it's very nice of you to tune in. And I wish we could all be together, crowded in together in that little room, and like in the old days. And I hope that we can be again
Yeah,
soon.
me
But
too.
here's the
Yeah.
new book that we're talking about today: Arizona's Scenic Roads and Hikes. Came out in October. It already went to a second printing. I think there's a big demand for this kind of thing right now. I'm going to read you a little bit from the introduction, and then we'll start a slideshow in a little bit. I printed it out just so it's easier for me to read. Arizona is the only state where you can walk into one of the seven natural wonders of the world. Not far from Grand Canyon, you could stand amid alpine tundra for crying out loud, at the summit of Humphreys Peak, the state's tallest mountain, soaring to an elevation of 12,633 feet. And don't think for a minute that Humphreys is lonely way up there. Arizona has 26 peaks that rise above 10,000 feet. It's a surprisingly vertical landscape. Desert? Absolutely. There's plenty of that too. Arizona is the only state that contains the Sonoran Desert, a verdant and biologically diverse desert with thriving animal and plant communities defined by cactus as tall as office buildings. Dropping around to visit the Sonoran and maybe borrow a cup of Sororo cactus fruit are the other three major American deserts: Mojave, Great Basin, and Chihuahuan, making Arizona the only state where you can find elements of all four. The world's largest contiguous ponderosa pine forest spreads across Arizona. And despite being an arid state, the nation's largest and second largest man made lakes, Lake Mead and Lake Powell, stretch along the northern border. No state has more land set aside for Native Americans. When NASA was preparing to land on the moon, Arizona is where they trained. This is where you'll find the southernmost ski resort and the southernmost mile high city in America, two of the nation's largest volcanic fields, and the longest unbroken stretch of Route 66 still in existence. Arizona is the site of the Old West's bloodiest range war and its most legendary gunfight. The best preserved meteor crater on Earth, the most famous slot canyon in the Southwest, and the first international dark sky city. This is where you'll find the red rocks of Sedona, the monoliths of Monument Valley, the fossilized trees of Petrified Forest, the otherworldly badlands of the Painted Desert, the legendary fortress of Superstition Mountains, and the 200-mile-long spine of the Mogollon Rim, separating the sky islands of the southern deserts from the eroded heights of the Colorado Plateau in the north. To put it mildly, when you go outside to play in Arizona, you're in the big leagues. Hard to imagine a place more perfectly designed for road trips than Arizona. It's a big old state, the sixth largest in the Union, covering nearly 114,000 square miles. Since most of Arizona's population centers are found in clustered bunches, that leaves vast tracts of backcountry for exploring. It's sprinkled with just the right number of small towns to add character and to keep travelers gassed up and well fed. Plus, such varied habitats mean road tripping is a year round activity in these parts. There are only a handful of days out of the whole year you can't find 70 degrees somewhere in Arizona. Welcome to my world. So now tell me you don't feel like a road trip. Of course you do. I think road trip might be the two most beautiful words in the English language, except maybe bacon wrap. I think this is the book that we've been craving. After all these months of stress and anxiety and upheaval in our lives, I think we crave a little adventure in our lives. And I don't want to encourage anybody to do anything dangerous and remotely, but taking a scenic drive, hiking a lonely trail, that feels about as safe as it gets these days. As far as the longer trips, the overnights, the multi-day trips, you hold on to those. Those are the ones you hang on to. I want this book to keep you warm during the long winter while you plan all the places you want to see, all the things you want to do, all the places you want to go, everything in this remarkable state until the world gets a little more normal again. So, all right, that's my little introduction. Now we're going to try the tricky part. I'm actually going to see if I can get the slideshow started here. So let me click on this. And let's it's up there, and let's go big full screen. And there we go. I think I'm hoping that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the cover of the book up on the screen right now. So this is my 7th book, and I'm very proud of this. This book contains all 27 of Arizona's state designated scenic and historic roads, including 5 national scenic byways. They're arranged by region, and I give you all the info you need, like route numbers, mileage, attractions, activities, places to eat and sleep, and some of my favorite hiking trails along the way. I wanted this to be a very comprehensive road trip guide, and I'm very proud of what the result. Oops. Let me see if I can. There we go. We'll start atop a mountain, and not just any mountain, but my mountain. The first highway I cover in the book is the Mingus Mountains Scenic Road. It travels from Prescott through sun-kissed grasslands and then crosses the broad back of Mingus and winding river of pavement before ending in Jerome. Since I live in the Verde Valley, Mingus Mountain defines my western horizon. Nothing unique about that. Arizona contains 3,928 mountain peaks and summits, more than any other mountain state. Sorry, Colorado. So plenty of residents have their own personal landmass out their doors. It's easy to form a connection with our mountains as we watch them reflect the seasons and change moods throughout the day. More than anything else, Mingus Mountain initiates my sunsets. Thousands of times I've watched from my porch as a weary sun collapses atop the summit, resting for a moment, and then slipping beyond the soft embrace as the sky fills with color. It's like seeing angels in prom dresses dancing across the horizon. That's a show that never grows stale. In my opinion, Jerome is Arizona's best day trip. Who doesn't love to visit this mile-high town clinging to the steep slope of Cleopatra Hill? Views are fantastic, stretching across the Verde Valley to the sandstone cliffs of Sedona and the San Francisco peaks in the far distance. It was once known as the billion-dollar mining camp for the incredible wealth pulled from the ground. After the mines closed, it turned into a rickety ghost town, essentially saved by enterprising hippies who turned it into a thriving artist community with galleries, cool boutiques, and great restaurants and bars. Man, hippies, is there anything they can't do? This also marks the beginning of the Jerome Clarkdale Cottonwood Historic Road. As 89A leaves town, it sweeps around the old high school, now a collection of artist studios. It's that building at the top of the rise there, and drops sharply to the valley floor. Languid curves snake through soft hills dotted with cacti and fat stalks of agave. At the bottom of the hill is Clarkdale, Arizona's first company town. With its sturdy brick houses, tidy little yards, and big centerpiece park, Clarkdale has a great hipster Mayberry vibe that everybody loves. This is home to a couple of cool museums that I describe in the book, and also the Verde Canyon Railroad. Now, here's a little fun fact for you. I'm now the official narrator for the Verde Canyon Railroad. So the next time you take the train into that beautiful high-walled canyon, you'll have me blabbing at you about the scenery, geology, and history of the region, and even spinning a couple of yarns. So there you can see across the Verde Valley, looking at into the red cliffs of Sedona. This is such a beautiful little drive just up from my home. You continue past, as you're coming down the Jerome Clarkdale Cottonwood Historic Road, you continue past Tuzigoot National Monument and into my hometown of Cottonwood. And no, you cannot crash on my couch for a couple of days. This is a great little burg, and I give you lots of info on Old Town Cottonwood and my personal backyard and playground, Dead Horse Ranch State Park. This is where I go hiking virtually every day. I was there this morning hiking 4 miles. So for the year, my hiking total is 990 miles. Tomorrow I'll cross over 1,000. So looking forward to tomorrow's hike. I wasn't setting out to hike 1,000 this year. A lot of times I've done this a few times in the past where my New Year's resolution is to hike at least 1,000 miles. And I've done that, I think 7, 8 times. But this year I was just keeping track of the mileage. But once I got close, I thought, what the heck? I'll just kind of keep going. And it's been the hiking that's really saved me this year. Being able to walk out my door almost just a few minutes away from Dead Horse Ranch and hike along the Verde River and into the limestone hills. And it's just been a lifesaver. By the way, this is the only photo you're seeing that's not in the book. I took this in mid-November at Dead Horse along the Verde River because we had such a dazzling and colorful autumn. All that color is kind of gone now, but man, it was great while it lasted. Did you know that every paved road into Sedona is an officially designated scenic highway? No surprise there because it's a place with such a remarkable beauty. The portion of 89A from Cottonwood to Sedona is the Dry Creek Scenic Road, and it's pretty short. But what I do in many of the chapters is include additional scenic driving options. These roads may not have an official designation, but I think they're worth exploring. In this case, I give you details so you can discover the wineries and vineyards on Page Springs Road, the views of Cathedral Rock on Red Rock Loop Road, and some of Sedona's backcountry around Boynton Canyon and Dove Mountain. The northernmost segment of Arizona 89A was the first highway designated as an Arizona Scenic Road. It often ends up on list of the prettiest drives in the country. Of course, I'm talking about the winding road through Oak Creek Canyon. Here's a view from the Munns Wagon Trail. This is one of the suggested hikes I pair with the drive through Oak Creek Canyon. Of course, Oak Creek Canyon is beautiful in all seasons. Here's a snowy little Christmas card scene taken along the West Fork Trail near the upper end of the canyon. That should get you in the holiday spirit a little bit. The final Sedona Scenic Road is 179, traveling through the village of Oak Creek, past Bell Rock and Courthouse Butte. This is a magic carpet ride into Red Rock country. You never know what wonders you might see along the way. Here's a couple of examples. There's the Chapel of the Holy Cross at the most opportune time, and a blazing sunset above Cathedral Rock. I've actually got this shot framed and hanging on my wall next to me here. Many of the photos in the book and what you're seeing now, like this one, were taken by my good friend Mike Coopson. He's a terrific photographer living in Sedona, and it's such a pleasure working with him. The rest of the photos are mine, with a few by Rick Mortens. And I have to say, this is the best collection of images in any of my books. And that's saying quite a bit because I've had some really lovely books in the past, but these are just spectacular. Let's travel a little further north. San Francisco Peak Scenic Road is an amazing stretch of highway because it skirts the tallest mountains in the state, where you're gazing up at alpine tundra. Then it drops you off on the doorstep of a little beauty I like to call Grand Canyon. Now that's some serious geological drama in just one quick outing. This is part of the reason Arizona's scenic roads are unlike other scenic roads. We just have more to offer. Like I said, when you go out to play in Arizona, you're in the big leagues. Don't forget, the most famous highway in the world also runs through our backyard. I devote 2 chapters of the book to Route 66, not only because it's the ultimate road trip and there's so much to see, but also because Arizona is the state that saved Route 66. This is where the preservation movement began, and I tell you that story in the book. This is where you'll find fantastic scenery. like the gnawed badlands of the Painted Desert, roadside attractions. You can stand on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, be part of musical history. Mom and pop cafes. Man, what I wouldn't give for a burger from the snowcap right about now. And funky little towns. Here's Rush Hour in Oatman. If you've never been, Oatman is a town run by a herd of wild burros. The animals are descendants of burros once used by miners, then turned loose in the hills. The thing I love about this story is that the burros came up with this all on their own. It wasn't the Oatman Chamber of Commerce or Arizona Office of Tourism starting a program to attract visitors. It was the burros. For decades, the herd grazed there in the Black Mountains, which offer pretty slim pickings. Then one day a burro says, screw this, I want some carry out. He wandered into Oatman and maybe somebody felt sorry for him and dropped part of a sandwich. So he goes back and spreads the word, and then more burros come in looking for sandwiches, and it just evolved from there. Now, every morning, a couple of dozen burros come into Oatman and stand around blocking traffic, waiting to get fed. In the afternoon, just as the shops are starting to close, they head back out into the hills. Where else do critters organize a union and execute a business plan? Excuse me. Now, some of these drives you have to save until next year. 4 astonishing scenic roads cross the Navajo Nation, but right now tribal parks are closed and travel's restricted due to the pandemic. But hold on to these drives. Let them inspire you to look forward to better times, because these are some of my absolute favorites. Of all the places I did not get to visit this year, I miss Monument Valley most of all. I go hiking here every summer, and it's a trip I cherish. The scenic road delivers you to this sacred place where the sky and the land have a special relationship. The space between these shy formations become just as haunting and memorable as the rocks themselves, and that's just the beginning. Once you're in the park, there are trails to hike and an unpaved 17-mile loop road that rambles across the most iconic Western landscape that exists. You can travel the road on your own or take a tour with a Navajo guide. Bonus, if you take a guided tour, you can go places not accessible to visitors on their own, like to Hunt's Mesa, where this photo was taken by Mike Coops. Another great Navajo Nation drive is the Among the People Scenic Road from Window Rock to Canyon to Shea. This is the Navajo Code Talkers Memorial in Window Rock. Since Veterans Day was just last month, I'll read you a short passage from the book. Window Rock derives its name from the natural opening in the sandstone cliffs just north of town. In recent years, they built a veterans memorial at the base of the arch to honor the many Navajos who served. Circular paths wind through the park and angled steel pillars list names of the veterans. A large sculpture of a kneeling Marine radioing in a message commemorates the Navajo Code Talkers. During World War II, a group of Navajo men used their native language to create a secret code for communications in the Pacific Theater that the Japanese were never able to crack. Their ability to quickly send and relay secure tactical messages proved decisive in several battles. Navajo Code Talkers saved countless lives and shortened the war. While I had visited Window Rock in the past, the first time I saw a Veterans Memorial proved especially significant. I had recently traveled to Ohio and visited with my Uncle Raymond, my father's oldest brother, who had just turned 90. He had never talked much about World War II, but after a few questions on my part, finally revealed some details. He was in the Pacific Theater in late 1944. His unit was transporting mules near the Burma Road when they were hit by mortar fire, their first taste of combat. Raymond and 2 others were wounded. It took some daring flying to get them airlifted out of the mountainous region. None were expected to survive, and indeed the other 2 men didn't make it through the first night. After getting stitched up, Raymond was in the hospital for 10 months. Exactly 1 week after I visited with my uncle, I stood in the Window Rock Park seeing the Navajo Code Talker sculpture. It's a lovely tribute with the names of all the code talkers on the bricks surrounding the statue. While I was there, an elderly Navajo woman came to the memorial led by her grandchildren. They were looking for a specific name, and after a long search, they found it. I wandered away so as not to intrude on their private moment. The world can be so big, and the world can be so remarkably small. We were both there thinking about loved ones who served together in the same corner of the war all those decades ago. At the other end of the Among the People Scenic Road is Canyon de Shea. If you've never been, you're in for a treat. Peer over the edge for a dazzling combination of wild scenery and pastoral beauty. Sheer cliff plunge hundreds of feet to lush bottomlands lined with crops, pastures, and cottonwoods mixed with soaring stone and archaeological sites. Many families still farm the canyon during the summer months. It's a remarkable place, and tours will be available once the park reopens next year. Of course, this is Spider Rock here. That's about 800 feet from the canyon floor, this beautiful spire. And there's a great story about the spider woman who lives atop of it and what she does to bad little kids. This is how Navajo parents get their kids to behave. Don't let the spider woman get you. The Navajo Mountain Scenic Road crosses land lavish and broken, beautiful plateau country with some surprising side trips to Navajo National Monument, where you'll find remarkably preserved cliff dwellings and also the picturesque Shonto trading post, just because I think it's such a special place, so I've made sure to include it in there. The road ends in Page on the shores of Lake Powell with a couple of other can't-miss stops. The most famous slot canyon in the Southwest is carved from the slick rock near the lake. Antelope Canyon is renowned for the spears of sunlight swaddled in red-orange tones of sandstone. The narrow crevice is divided into two sections, upper, which is the easiest and most popular, and lower, which requires steps and ladders. For the most vivid light and colors, visit Antelope Canyon between March and October. And again, just as a reminder, Antelope Canyon is currently closed like all Navajo tribal parks, but they hope to reopen in 2021. Also on this road, the most iconic segment of the Colorado River, the swooping curve of Horseshoe Bends on this drive. Now tell me that's not a road trip worth taking. Of all the 27 highways I cover in the book, this may be my favorite. The Fredonia Vermillion Cliffs Scenic Road explores the vastness of the Arizona Strip. This is where you come to hole up, hide out, or lose track of time. I love this lonely, exotic landscape that feels like the edge of the world. This is the road that haunts me. It's the one I return to over and over in my mind when stress piles up at my door and I yearn to disappear. The Fredonia Vermillion Cliffs Scenic Road transports you to places like Lee's Ferry. I've spent many a happy day here hiking and camping and relaxing beneath the shade trees at historic Lonely Dell Ranch. And of course, this is the route that provides access to the dirt road that takes you to the trailhead for the wave. You need a permit for this hike, and they're very, very hard to come by. I provide all that info in the book as well. For an amazing summer drive, the White Mountain Scenic Road traverses forests and meadows, all in rich shades of green. It crosses fast-running trout streams and skirts sparkling lakes. What's up with all the lakes? In the White Mountains, you can't throw a rock without hearing a splash. Here's one of those. Big Lake is a popular getaway with multiple campgrounds and hiking trails. Spend a few days here in July and you'll forget why they call Arizona a desert state. Of course, the White Mountain Scenic Road is not bad in the fall either. It's also great in winter if you like cross country or downhill skiing. Frankly, I never drive towards snow on purpose, but that's just me. Because of Arizona's diversity, road tripping is a year-round activity with several scenic roads slashing across the central and southern deserts. This is the Copper Corridor West, rambling south from the funky little burg of Superior. Here you'll find lots of mining history, small towns, and excellent hikes. Also, nearby Copper Corridor East travels through a mountain pass and skirts the angled peaks guarding the Gila River Gorge, and it's one of the most underrated scenic roads in the state. Did you know that Arizona is the only state that has not one, but two national parks dedicated to the preservation of cactus? A lot of people visit Sororo National Park in Tucson, but not so many make it here. For the ultimate desert excursion, try the Organ Pipe Cactus Parkway. It's a beautiful drive across Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument. Here are a couple of hikers on the Victoria Mine Trail. Now, this is my kind of midwinter day. You'll find plenty of spectacular scenery on the Gila Canal Scenic Road. It crosses the desert floor along the edge of the Superstition Mountains as it climbs through four biotic communities on its way to Globe. That's the Queen Creek Bridge, dwarfed by tilted peaks and a curiously fractured landscape. The Gila Canal Scenic Road is also one of the best wildflower drives in late winter and early spring. It was gorgeous the past couple of years. I'm not as optimistic for 2021 unless we get some serious winter downpours, but we'll certainly hope for the best. The newest addition to Arizona's officially designated roads is historic Arizona US Route 80, with segments crossing the southern portion of the state. The most intact swath cuts across Cochise County, traveling from Benson to Tombstone to Bisbee to Douglas and into the Chiricahua Mountains. The Chiricahuas are my favorite mountain range in the state, a wonderland of rocks with towering columns, spires, and mystical hoodoos. It's a legendary birding spot and was a stronghold for Apache tribes. Cave Creek Canyon, shown here, is known as Arizona's Yosemite. Here's one of my absolute favorite pieces of Arizona trivia. The movie Oklahoma was filmed here. When Curly McLean sang about the bright golden haze on the meadow, he was describing southern Arizona. Filmmakers couldn't find enough undeveloped land in the Sooner State, so they chose the windswept grasslands of Santa Cruz County. That has got to be a burr under the saddle of Oklahomans. I can't imagine going to see a big budget production called Arizona that was filmed in Delaware with a culvert full of styrofoam boulders passing as the Grand Canyon. The best part is they could come back and film again today because we've still got those same wide open spaces. That's what makes the Sonoita Patagonia Scenic Road such a pleasure. It's also a journey into Arizona's original wine country. Here we're gazing across the plains to Elgin, where you'll find a dozen or so vineyards and wineries. So that's just some of the wonders that await you on Arizona highways and trails. It's just a small portion of the book. There are about 10 of the roads I didn't even get to mention. But I hope Arizona's Scenic Roads and Hikes inspires you to want to see more of the state that I love. Trust me, Arizona's scenic roads can be the adventure of a lifetime. If the Garden of Eden had a liquor license and served really good tacos, they would have called it Arizona. This is paradise, people. Get out and see all of it you can. And I'll do a final plug for my previous book, Arizona State Parks. It's another great way to explore this beautiful state. Also, I'm proud to announce that just a few weeks ago, this won the 2020 New Mexico Arizona Book Award in the travel category. So officially, you're looking at Arizona's best travel book for the year. Now, I hope all these books, Arizona Scenic Roads and Hikes, Arizona State Parks, and many of my others are available at Peregrine Book Company. So I hope that you'll buy from them. Like I said, I do have 7 books that are available. And if for some reason the store doesn't have any of them, please visit my website. You can always purchase books there and also just learn more about what I do. And that's a great place to connect to my social media pages, Facebook and Twitter, and all those pages are tributes to Arizona. I just promote where I'm hiking, where I'm eating, where I'm traveling to, all the great stuff around the state. There's no religion, politics, no cat videos, no anything else on my social media pages. It's just all Arizona all the time. So be sure to tune in. So I think that's it for the presentation. So now we will go back, and this is the part that gets tricky. Let's see if I can stop the share. And I don't know if I'm back on video. Can you see me again, or
We
are we
can see you.
back? Okay, so that's my portion. Thanks for your kind attention. I appreciate it, and I'm happy
Now,
to answer any questions if I
yeah,
can.
people can unmute now and ask questions and make comments, whatever you'd like to do. Roger, um, I just see this book as kind of a condensed favorites of many favorites that I have of yours. So how do you see this book? What's the concept behind that?
Well, it was, yeah, it's, I'm trying to package the state in ways that are special to me. I think and I love all my books, but if you have this one, Arizona Scenic Roads and Hikes, Arizona State Parks, and one of my earlier books, Boots and Burgers, an Arizona Handbook for Hungry Hikers, that really gives you a comprehensive guide to the state, to every corner of the state, everything that and includes the history and the little getaways and stuff. For me, I've always been a road trip fanatic. I love road trips, and this is kind of how I do it. I love those beautiful long scenic drives, but I want to get out and walk around a little bit. So that's why I include hiking trails with each of the drives, as well as places to eat, places to stay along the way that you can take advantage of, information about the small towns, the attractions and activities along the way. So you can get out and just make the drive. You can get out, make the drive, make the hikes, eat, however you want to do it. I try to give you all the information there right at your fingertips.
We have a couple
Sure.
questions in from viewers on chat. You said that you hike Monument Valley in the summer.
Yes.
She wonders, is it too hot to hike in the summer?
Well, not to me. I mean, I love the heat, and it's also because it's so far north. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of days where it might be in the 90s or low 80s, but to me, that's really great hiking weather. I'm a desert rat, so I'm hiking it down in Phoenix sometimes in the summertime. So if that is too much for you, then yeah, it can be a little. Warm. You might want to wait until September, October when it cools off a bit. There are 3 trails, and I include all these in Monument Valley Tribal Park that you can hike on your own. Without a Navajo guide. That's the Wildcat Trail, the Lee Cly Trail, and the Mesa Rim Trail. You can also certainly go out and take Navajo guides for either for hiking, for horseback riding, for Jeep trails, whatever you want to do. But if you just, I like to go there. The Wildcat Trail is actually my favorite hike in the entire state. It's the one I always do every year, and not being able to do it this year just broke my heart a little bit. But so I'm very much looking forward to getting back and seeing it again next year.
Good. Someone else wants to know, Paula McDaniel wants to know, how can we tell which roads are dirt roads and may not be easy to drive in a sedan?
I give you all that information in the book. And they are all paved roads with a couple of exceptions that turn dirt at the end. And that's the historic Apache Trail, which is paved at first and then turns to dirt. And then also the Swift Trail up to the top of Mount Graham. It's paved up until a certain point and then it turns to dirt. But all of these can be managed in a sedan. Uh, uh, High clearance is never a bad thing on a dirt road, but I don't have four-wheel drive. I've never had. I did all these roads in my little 2001 Chevy pickup with over 250,000 miles on it and stuff. So they're all easily managed in a normal vehicle, a sedan of any kind. Of course, that depends on the weather. You never want to travel a dirt road after a big rainstorm or the snowstorm or anything like that. So it's always uh, contingent on something like that. But in good weather, each of the roads, all the rest are paved all the way. I think just those two are the only ones. Like the scenic road to Monument Valley is paved all the way because it ends at the tribal park. But then I give you all the information about the unpaved road through the park that you can take on your own or take a Navajo guided tour of that road if you're uncomfortable driving it. And that one's a little rougher, but I give you all the details about that.
Does anyone else have a question? Have you, Roger, ever taken a Navajo guide to guide you on any
I
particular
have.
place?
Yeah, I've done I've not yet done it at Canyon de Shea, but I've done it at Monument Valley, and it's great because you get a
Uh-huh.
lot of cultural information. You get to go some of the places that you don't normally, the regular visitors don't get to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really informative. I recommend everyone do it. And there are several. They always just have the guided tours right there at the tribal park and at Canyon de Shea. Again, once the tribal parks reopen next year, sometime
Yeah.
we'll hope that's soon. I would imagine spring would probably be the earliest. It may even not be until summer, but whenever they do, I'll certainly am excited to get back because I love that part of the state.
Yes, and Canyon, that the Navajo guides in Canyon de Shea can be very spectacular.
Yeah, I really want to do that. That's one of the ones I've got planned for next year. I was really hoping to do that again this year, but I just haven't gotten around to it. There is one hiking trail that you can take by yourself down into
Mm-hmm.
Canyon de Chelly, the White House ruins, and that's one of the hikes that's listed in the book again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And have you taken that one?
oh yeah, many,
Yeah,
many
many
times. Yeah,
times.
it's beautiful. Yeah,
It is. It
yeah.
very
I can't pass up an opportunity to hike down into Canyon de Chelly on my own. It's just gorgeous down there. So.
right. Does anyone have any questions? Any more questions? I don't want to keep asking things if you're trying to be here. You get in to hear. One more thing I wanted to
Yeah.
know. Right now, it's sounding like this is your favorite book, but do you have a real favorite, or what would one that keeps being your favorite, that comes back?
Well, I think to me, Boots and Burgers
Mhm.
was the third book that I wrote. Boots and Burgers, an Arizona Handbook for Hungry Hikers, is probably my favorite because it's sort of my dream book because that's my day. That's the best day that I can have where I get up and it's got hiking trails all over the state. And so you get up and you spend the day hiking on a trail and enjoying some solitude, enjoying some scenery, enjoying just having a wonderful time. Hours and hours you hike out in the wild, and then on the drive home you stop at some little diner or cafe and you eat a juicy burger, great burger, a Sonoran hot dog, or a piece of pie, something like that. And what's a better day than that? Those are my favorite kind of days. So that's sort of my concept of that. That's why. So I think Boots and Burgers is probably always going to be my favorite. But Arizona Scenic Roads and Hikes, yeah, this is a one that's really it's capturing a lot of people. My wife's favorite is the Amazing Cole Brothers of Grand Canyon. I think a lot of people like that because it's a narrative. It's all history. But it's a narrative story. It's not a travel book. It just tells the story of these two incredible knuckleheads that lived and were pioneers at the Grand Canyon. So, so that's a very fun one too. So.
I have two more questions that have come in right
Sure.
away. Where up north can you camp in a tent where there would be zero chances for bears to be there?
Oh, well, I think a lot of places, I mean, bears are pretty isolated in the mountain, really mountainous region and stuff like it right at Monument Valley. Once they reopen, they've got a gorgeous camping spot right there out on it's out on the plateau country. You can camp at Lee's Ferry. You can camp. You're not going to get bears there. You're only going to get bears in the high mountainous areas. In fact, I talk about one of the roads that kind of takes you down uh, uh, along the Swift Trail down around Mount Graham. That's where you might run into some bears. And there's some bears up on Mingus Mountain too and stuff. But and in the Chiricahuas. Chiricahuas are actually the only place I've ever seen bears in Arizona. I used to see them in the Smoky Mountains quite a bit. But so as long as you're not in the right in the very camping up in the pines of the mountains and stuff, your chances of seeing a bear are very unlikely. So I think there's a whole bunch of places, and I'll be happy. If you feel free to, you can get on my one of my social media sites and direct message me or send me an email, and I'll be happy to give you some more specific sites if you need.
I've seen them in the Cheskas too, above Salee, behind
Yeah.
Salee.
Yeah, so I mean, they're there. It's not that
Mountains.
common, but yeah, they're up in the mountains. That's where they kind of stay. They're not going to come down into the plateau country or the desert or, places. So,
Someone just commented that the bears and the Chiricahuas have been known to destroy car windows at Rustler's
oh,
Roost.
well,
Someone else said you wants to know, you mentioned a trading post near Page, and the only trading post that person knows is the Hubbard trading post. Is there another?
the Hubble trading post. Yeah, that's really a fantastic one. And that's the most historic of all and certainly worth visiting. The one I included is actually it's on the Navajo Mountain Scenic Road, which kind of starts uh, sort of southeast of or southwest of Kayenta and heads up past not far from Navajo National Monument, and then it kind of takes you around towards Page. But about 5 miles off the road is the Shonto trading post, which I think it's still just an active trading post, and it's one of the most picturesque on the reservation and just full of history. And it's one of those that I just always pull off, and opinion. Um, uh, and I always just stop and get a soft drink or get a little snack or something. Not that they need my little piece of business, but it's just nice to be part of that history and to see all the day-to-day activities that's going on. So that one is the one that I mentioned. There's another one that I really love that's also included in here, the Tiknos Posts. Trading post, which is up by the Four Corners region, which I think again is one of the most beautiful areas in the state and stuff. So, and those are, whereas the Hubble is still an active trading post, it's also a historic site. These two, the Shonto and Tiknos posts, are just active trading posts. They're still just businesses in business, and it's nice to support the mom and pop businesses anytime you're on the road. I always try to do that. no matter what, whether it's stopping for a meal, stopping for a souvenir, stopping for a snack or whatever, to, try to spread a little money around to the small mom
Mhm.
and pop businesses.
Someone is asking if Boots and Burgers is still in print.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
and all of yours are still in
Oh
print,
yeah,
aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah. They've all, I've been very fortunate. They've all sold. All my books have sold very well. I think my first book, Arizona Kicks on Route 66, is in its sixth printing by now. But each of my books are in their second or third printing, or fourth printing. So yeah, they all continue to sell well and do well. But please, if you can buy them from the store, buy them from the store. If the store doesn't have them in stock, you can always get them from my website.
Yes, and we had Boots and Burgers in there not long ago. I can't guarantee it because it sells that well. And as soon as people heard you were going to do an event, your book started flying off the shelf again. So we
Good.
had to put in some more orders. But we can also order it for
Oh,
people.
great.
So don't worry, don't hesitate. If we don't have it, we'll get it, and we might have it because we ordered quite a few different books of yours.
Great.
Yeah. Well,
Are there still some things in chat? It looks to me like everybody's still muted. So I think,
well, yeah,
but
people are chatting. Yeah, if you're
okay, so I
muted,
can see some things in chat. Did I get to everybody
I
that
think so.
asked
Let me
something?
check
Okay,
them.
okay, great.
Monument Roads. Yes, I think. Yep. It looks like you have answered all the chat questions.
Okay, excellent. Well, it was my pleasure. I really appreciate your having me. I think Arizona Scenic Roads and Hikes retails for $21.95. I think Arizona State Parks also $21.95. Boots and Burgers I think is $15.95. So they're all fairly reasonable
Hmm.
prices, and books make such great gifts. Holiday gifts if you're doing a little shopping. It's nice to support local authors and local stores, and people, you know, they may not like the tie that you give them, or scented candle, but a book is always welcome. I think, at least in my
Yes.
house, it is.
Yeah, they make excellent gifts. And if you don't have one, you should get them. Well, thank you very much, Roger. This was very wonderful. It always is. I do still like it best when you're in the store.
Me too. I like to be able to be there and connect with everybody. And like I said, I hope maybe later this in 2021 we can all get together and packed into that little space, and get that energy, and get to just pass the time of day, as opposed to having to do it through our computers, but reconnect in person again. So
I
something
certainly
to
hope
look
so.
forward to.
I hope so too. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I know Roger never disappoints, and this was no exception. So thank everyone. And if no one's going to ask any more questions, I'm going to end the meeting. And it's too bad because otherwise we'd all be standing around talking for a while.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.